Good afternoon, everybody. Also from my side here at the St. Gallen Symposium, I'm very happy to be here again, to be here with you this afternoon. I hope you already have had an interesting morning. It's impressive, all the sessions you already had this morning, a good networking lunch, and now I hope we are ready together for this very important point at the St. Gallen Symposium. As mentioned, we will come now to the ceremony of the essay competition, a very important ceremony for all the students who participated in it. And we will hear about that more in a second. I will just present myself to you. My name is Rauchenstein. I work as a political journalist in Switzerland. I present the daily news at Swiss Public Television, and I'm really happy that I could spend this afternoon with you. For the introduction of the ceremony, we will have now the Leader of Tomorrow team of this year International Students Committee of the University of St. Gallen. So welcome please Mauro Mathys, Nikita Schönenberger and Luca Oberholzer.
Welcome to each one of you gathered here today. I'm Nikita, and together with my dear friends Luca and Mauro, we are responsible for Leaders of Tomorrow.
When you take a look around, you do not only see senior decision makers, but also junior decision makers. These are our carefully selected 200 Leaders of Tomorrow, which, by the way, you can recognize by their yellow badge color.
These 200 Leaders of Tomorrow were selected in two different ways, each bringing 100 participants here. One of them was what we have established as the Global Essay Competition. The other one is what we refer to as the Knowledge Pool. In that manner, we gave our all, handpicking the most interesting students from almost any sector. From asteroid mining to female hormone planning. From Iceland to French Polynesia. No part of the world was spared by our emails. So, I have mentioned the Global Essay Competition briefly before, Mauro, and I got the goosebumps saying it. Tell us why.
Yeah, same here. The memories that we have made while we traveled the world to present this unique opportunity to students around the world were just awesome. We reached thousands of master and PhD students in our quest to invite the brilliant young students from all around the world. The essays were then evaluated by our academic jury, which was made up of around 40 PhD students from the ETH and the University of St. Gallen. Everyone invested countless hours to read and evaluate all the essays. With over 700 submissions pouring in from more than 60 countries, these essays were more than just words on a page. They were sparks igniting a global conversation. The St. Gallen Symposium is more than just a boring conference because of you guys. So keep dreaming, keep pushing your boundaries, and keep making your mark on the world. But Luca, after selecting these 200 Leaders of Tomorrow, there was still a lot to do. But what exactly?
Well, there was a lot to do. To make sure that all of the Leaders of Tomorrow can sit in the audience today. We dedicated our weekends making sure that everything would go smoothly during this week. We checked every flight and train connection. I spent countless hours on the phone with my new friends at the travel agency to get the best solutions for our Leaders of Tomorrow. We answered every request in the best possible way so that they never had the feeling of going alone on this journey. And once they were in St. Gallen, they had to sleep somewhere, right? So we advertised day and night to convince all of the students of the University of St. Gallen to host our Leaders of Tomorrow. So as you can see, there was quite a lot going on in the past year. But tell me, guys, besides having me on your team, what were your highlights during this year?
Well, there are a few things.
Obviously, right?
Of course.
But what are the memories that you will look back in 40 years? Like the story from Friday evening in New York, Nikita?
Friday evening? Didn't you want to ask me about Monday morning?
No, you didn't hear correctly. It's Friday.
Friday, okay. I'd rather not have that on record, but I will happily tell you about other memories I've made. I've held numerous presentations at the University of St.Gallen, but I've also held presentations at other second-tier universities like Harvard, MIT, NYU. I visited the German-American conference, but I think the best thing was, while everyone else from the team was trying to get money into the symposium, we had the grateful task to only spend that money by inviting our leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah, that was definitely the best part.
Absolutely.
And what about you? What were some challenges that you faced? And how do you feel now standing up here?
I faced a lot of challenges during my time. I think traveling to a different continent completely on my own, adapting to a new work environment was very hard for me and very challenging. But looking back, I learned so much. It was just great. And after you asked us, Luca, tell us, what was your greatest experience that you will remember?
Of course, the countless hours we shared together in the offices, right? But also having all the leaders of tomorrow with us here in St. Gallen and engaging in all those interesting conversations is definitely something I'm going to remember forever. But this was only possible because of everyone involved.
With that said, we want to say a big thank you to the whole ISC team, especially Alicia, one of the 3 students' heads.
Through thick and thin, you were always there, lifting another up.
You will always have a special place in our hearts.
Next, a huge shout out to the academic jury who read and evaluated the essays. It was led by Professor Heike Bruch, and we are very grateful for your tasks that you did. Lastly, we want to thank the award jury led by Professor Georg van Kroch. Your tremendous efforts in evaluating the essays have not gone unnoticed. And I think I speak for all of us that we can't wait to reveal the winners. But anyway, enough about us. Let's turn our attention to the stars of the show, the 3 finalists of the Global Essay Competition. So over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Mauro, Nikita, and Luca, for this interesting introduction. And thank you very much for all you have done during this year. And I think there will be one more big applause for the students who are working 1 year also for this competition. So we are waiting impatiently for the 3 finalists of the Global Essay Competition and also for the question they had to answer in their essay. And this was the following question: striving for more or thriving with less? And now, please welcome our 3 finalists with a big applause. Welcome here on stage. Good afternoon. I will present the 3 finalists to you, and then we will have a pitch of the essays. We have here with us Funke Aderonmu. She is a Master in Public Affairs candidate at the Princeton University. She did her bachelor at the University of California, Davis in International Relations and Economics with honors. And Funke wants to advance equitable policies that promote sustainable and inclusive development, especially in Africa and globally. Welcome, Funke. Then on the right side, we have Andreas Kuster. He is a PhD candidate at the Nanyang Technological University of Singapore. His research focuses on efficient and resilient wireless communication, for example, for Wi-Fi or 5G. And Andreas did his Master of Science in Computer Science at the ETH Zürich, and he is a very local. He is born and raised in Flawil. This is next to St. Gallen. Welcome, Andreas. And in the middle, we have Sean Chan. He is a master candidate at the Saul C. Hook School of Public Health at the National University of Singapore, and he has a background of political science. His aim is to translate his research into sustainable healthcare policies for global implementation. Welcome also to you, Sean. So what are the next steps here on stage? Now every candidate, every finalist will pitch to you in the audience in a form of an elevator pitch in 3 minutes what his essay or her essay is about. And then I will challenge them with a rapid fire Q&A. And finally, we will announce who will be the winner of the Global Essay Competition 2024. Okay? So we will start, and we will start with Andreas. The stage is yours.
Thank you. The scarcity of verified information. Having time to hear, analyze, and think about content and statement is crucial to verify information. But in today's world, we have several phenomena that are working against us. First, the amount of information we store and process doubles every 4 years. And so also the cat videos on YouTube. Secondly, with modern technology like social media feeds, news feeds that are getting shorter, narrower, and like YouTube Shorts, for example, we are reducing the attention span to a very, very minimum, and this basically doesn't give us time to think about what we really hear and listen to. And last but not least, large language models. Today, they are already really powerful in like packaging the false information in a way that it's really difficult for us to perceive it as false information. There is a phenomena called information overload. And it basically, so traditionally we think that with more information, especially as a decision maker, we should be able to make better and more informed decisions. Unfortunately, this is not really the case anymore, depending on where your information source is. Too much information, and then also including false information, can degrade your decision-making process. Is it in a company, or you as a person, a private individual, like for example in political stance. So the consequence from all of this is that this clearly undermines the trust and in the democratic process, but also in news sources and other sources of information we are dealing on daily life with. So what can we do about it? We go by the motto here, like strive for more. Of course. I think this is the motto of University of St. Gallen in any way. Like, can we take technology, like more technology, we put it out and we try to solve today's problems? So yes, there are solutions available. For example, we can solve the problems of machine learning also with machine learning. So there is, for example, tools available that do fact-checking or that kind of try to find the origin source and provide you this information. Then next is maybe can we do it with more information, combine it? And I think this is probably one of the most important points, because if we teach our children from young age on in media literacy and critical thinking, and we continue and refine this over the year to university, and even if you are already retired, then we build a society that is much more resilient to false information and these kind of campaigns. And last but not least, also possibly we have to think about adding more regulations. So this is for the politician under you. We have to keep or make the companies hold accountable for what they do. And so if they spread false information, we should think about
how can we assess this and like make good legislation to prevent them or to make them change their business model in a way that is sustainable for our society. Now we have always talked about like striving for more, and as I already said before, so as an engineer from ETH, this is the motto you typically hear from University of St. Gallen. And so the question that arises is, does it really tackle the root problem that we have? So going back to the beginning, I talked about information overload. And the question is, should we maybe thrive with less? Can we reduce this information overload in a way? So again, we said before that the information doubles every 4 years. But it doesn't mean we have to consume more information. It's a conscious decision what information we are consuming on a daily life. And then also, like, yes, AI tools are getting very, very good in persuading us with fake news. But look at this room. We have a room full of very brilliant decision makers or upcoming decision makers, and you all have the tools at your hands to check the information you're receiving. Of course, it costs time and effort, but this is something we have to do as a society. And last but not least, for the short attention span, I invite you all actually today to start with it by switching your mobile phone off for 1-2 hours and use the increased attention span to engage active and critically in conversation with each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andreas. Funke, you have now 3 minutes to pitch your essay to us.
Okay, thank you. Climate change poses a growing risk to the global food supply. If average temperatures continue to rise, by mid-century, we could see staple crop yields drop by 23%. We also know that food production is a key driver of climate change, as agriculture accounts for 1/4 of greenhouse gas emissions. Yet, as the world's population is set to reach 10 billion by 2050, we'll need to produce even more food to ensure no one goes hungry. So, we are faced with an important question. How do we avoid possible food scarcity without worsening climate change? As one of the world's largest food producers and exporters, the United States can play a key role in strengthening global food security and reducing agriculture's carbon footprint. But doing so will require the US to change the way it subsidizes its agriculture. Each year, the US spends billions of dollars subsidizing farmers' food production, but the evidence shows that these subsidies create inefficiencies that undermine global food security by harming the environment, increasing greenhouse gas emissions, and unfairly competing with poor countries' own food production. And farm subsidies have been shown to not reduce hunger amongst the poorest Americans. As climate change continues to strain our food systems, the US can bolster food security and climate resiliency by repurposing farm subsidies towards, first, investing in research and adoption of technologies and farming practices that boost food production without increasing carbon emissions. Subsidies can support technologies like dietary supplements for cattle that reduce their methane emissions, and also support research into new innovations that can boost our food supply in a sustainable manner. Second, subsidies can be directed towards more funding for environmental conservation efforts. Conservation practices, such as restoring degraded land, can lower environmental toll of agriculture and reduce carbon emissions by storing more carbon in the soil. Subsidies can be used to scale these types of practices to mitigate environmental pollution and greenhouse gas emissions caused by farming. And third, subsidies can be used to support more climate adaptive technologies and efficient farming techniques. The US can channel subsidies to encourage farmers' use of efficient fertilizers or grow cover crops that reduce carbon emissions and strengthen farms' resilience to drought and other extreme weather. Though my essay focuses on the US, farm subsidies are a global phenomenon. Annually, countries collectively spend $540 billion in subsidies to their agriculture sectors, largely to measures that are inefficient, unequally allocated, and harmful for environmental and human health. That's why farm subsidy reforms are needed globally. If we are to succeed in combating climate change and global food scarcity, governments must redesign their subsidies to better support a sustainable and food-secure future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Funke. And now, Sean, I also give you 3 minutes to pitch your essay to us.
Thank you. Imagine a world where climate change not just affects the environment, but who survives is based on their location and healthcare access. As dreadful as this may sound, it is a reality that is closer than we realize. Climate change is expected to cause 250,000 more deaths annually from conditions such as heat stress, malaria, and malnutrition. The stark reality is that increasing demands from extreme weather events and changing disease patterns make our global healthcare system vulnerable and overwhelmed. We are at a critical juncture where innovation isn't just beneficial, it's essential. The pressing question for our generation is how to provide adequate healthcare when resources are scarce and demand is rising. Do we strive for more or strive with less? My answer, neither and either. Instead, we need to transform our approach. This is the neither, leveraging on innovative technologies to optimize our existing resources and adapt our healthcare system to face these challenges. This is where geospatial artificial intelligence, in short GeoAI, comes into play. GeoAI is more than just a technology, but a frontline warrior in the fight against climate-related health crises. Let me explain. It combines AI alongside massive geospatial datasets to transform how we predict, allocate, and optimize healthcare resources. From predicting disease outbreaks to reallocating resources during natural disasters, GeoAI can transform massive amounts of data into actionable insights that can save lives by strengthening our healthcare system in light of climate change. The missing link, however, is a framework that integrates GeoAI into the fight against healthcare scarcity. I therefore proposed the GeoAI Health Resource Optimization Framework, or GHROF for short. I will use GHROF for the later part of my speech. An approach that leverages GeoAI's power to ensure that every community can face future with resilience. Consists of 5 pivotal components. GHROF aims to strategically align cutting-edge GeoAI technologies with healthcare objectives to improve efficiency and resilience in the face of climate change. Secondly, GHROF aims to improve healthcare providers' capabilities for consistent and effective GeoAI use in low-resource settings across regions. Thirdly, GHROF will use real-time data to allocate healthcare resources cost-efficiently and preemptively, ensuring that healthcare resources reach where and when it is needed most. Fourthly, GHROF aims to improve healthcare responses by constantly evaluating and adapting GeoAI usage. Lastly, GHROF prioritizes community input to tailor solutions to local needs. In the face of growing healthcare challenges worsened by climate change, GeoAI does not compel us to choose between striving for more or striving with less. Instead, it enables us to do both by integrating GeoAI into global healthcare system and implementing the GHROF framework. We not only maximize our current resources, but also develop resilient, equitable health systems that are prepared for the future. As a generation confronting growing healthcare scarcity driven by climate change, let us work together to transform our healthcare systems to be more adaptive, efficient, and resilient, ensuring that we not just meet today's challenges, but are well prepared for tomorrow's demands. Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking us in these very interesting and challenging issues into your issues, agriculture, health systems, fake news, and we will start now with you, Andreas, with the rapid Q&A. Andreas, you're telling us that there is a challenge of information verification because of an information overload. How does this information overload intensify the challenge of verification?
That's a good question, and there's different aspects to it. So what we have seen over the last year is most of you have probably started playing around with, for example, ChatGPT, but we also have other competitors. And so what's happening is the amount of information that we are really generating, but that is actually not really new information, just like slightly modified in other direction, this part or ratio increased a lot over the last couple of months. Just because we all use this prompt and it's super easy and simple, and it saves us time. But on the other hand, it's becoming really difficult to differentiate this part from like what is the actual source of the information. Let's say 10 years ago, we had a newspaper, or I mean, also all-night news. You had your information source, and then maybe, if it's a small newspaper, 100 people made something out of this news, or and you if you looked carefully at the information they used, you could often figure out where the source is from. But now, if I take it from somewhere, I put it into ChatGPT, it adds some extra information that it already knows, and then I put it online, and the next person takes this again, adds some information, puts it into ChatGPT again, and then, so what's happening is it's getting more and more difficult because there's always input from people, but then there's also the other side where we have this generated information. And training your models in a way that you can differentiate this well is more complex than if you know like the ground truth and then you know what's kind of false information. But again, false information is also not so easy to identify.
A big challenge for us, for the whole society. You are writing in your essay for the verification of the information, we need technical solutions. This is also one of your businesses, but not only, we also need the society. We need a shift in society. How do you mean this?
So, of course, I'm doing a PhD in computer science. So, yeah, I tend to try to solve the problem with things that generate jobs for the future in my area. So, yes, but this is, like, joke aside, this is an important step. I think today's large language models, we have a lot of problems that we still have to solve, like energy efficiency, for example, and where the data is from. But they are already super powerful, and it would be unwise to use this only, like to give this thing only to the bad guys and not use it also on the other side for the good guys. And we already see this happening. So there is fact checker out there. So again, how do you even fact check? Like, what is your ground truth? Typically, what I have seen so far is they typically try to find the source and then they link to the source. And that way you can kind of either trust that or not, but at least it shows you where it's from. And so there's definitely tools, but again, these models, you have to retrain and retrain them. So if there is like some fake news campaign coming out right now, the fact checker might not have this information there yet. They might have to use this kind of extra information again to reiterate the training process of the model. So this is difficult by itself. And then why we also need the society. I think I kind of already answered this with the first part. So there is no solution that will solve all our problems. And I think all of you know this. We try to iteratively refine the challenges in a way and improve these small steps. And then if we do 100 of them, the whole thing will innovate and progress for a next generation. And so this will happen. But on a societal level, I think at least till we have tools available for this, we need to do our job to really do this verification and do this checking itself. And now you could say, okay, maybe we can gap this, and then we have we will have a technology. But I mean, the other side is also not sleeping. So there will be a new problem coming up. So we as a society have to be resilient to false information, because it clearly divides us. We have seen this, for example, during the COVID pandemic. I think we have seen that there has been many different groups building up, and some of them kind of changed the trustworthy sources completely. And we as a society really have to show that this doesn't happen. And of course, I have mentioned some points that we could do. For example, consuming more longer attention span medias, like read a book, watch a documentary instead of a 5-minute video, like go deep, go understand the actual problem and not the surface level. And yeah, I think I should wrap up.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andreas. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, and we will also have a lot of elections this year. Also there, false news, fake news, etc. are very common, so it's very important to be sure of the right information. I will go now to Funke. Funke, you were telling us about agriculture and subsidy. We know in politics it's not always easy that we have a point where everybody is right. But imagine that these reforms are accepted, you were proposing. What challenges may arise in implementing these subsidy reforms?
Yes, yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the challenges with implementing any major subsidy and transformation is the risk of pushback and resistance from those particularly impacted by this whatever policy change this would be. So I think about the current beneficiaries of agriculture subsidies now. They tend to be these really large agribusiness farms in the US, and as well as different agribusiness companies. And so I think that would potentially be a major area for challenge in implementing. Is how do you bring those who would naturally oppose this just based of, they benefit from the current situation, how do you bring them along? And I think that that's very important to address whenever implementing any policies. It's recognizing, who benefits and who gains from any of these policy changes, and really work and engage with those actors as well. I write about in my essay that it'd be important to quantify, understand what would be the cost to these particular stakeholders who would be impacted, and work to find solutions to that as well, whether it's providing support to help them readjust to a new structure of subsidies, providing more engagement with those communities as well. But I also think part of the challenge with implementing any new policy is understanding whether that policy is actually delivering the intended effect. So I also mentioned the importance of implementing policy monitoring and evaluation processes, especially early on in the design of a policy, so that as you're implementing this policy, you're able to gather the necessary data and inputs to assess whether or not it's actually having the intended effect, and if so, you can continue. But if not, that can also be an impetus for further changes, further improvements, and reforms as well.
I also have a second question for you, Funke. How do you envision the future of US agriculture with the proposed subsidy reforms in place?
It's hard to predict the future, but I do think that because of the growing urgency of climate change, I think that there is a growing need for changes in agriculture policy. I know one of the sessions we had yesterday with our Leaders of Tomorrow Day was hearing from some of the major Swiss insurance companies and how they're thinking about the potential risks of climate change. And agriculture insurance is one form of subsidy as well. And so I think that there is really an opportunity for rethinking how subsidies are designed and allocated, just partly, in large part, because of this pressure from climate change. And farmers themselves are seeing the changes in their environments. I know in the southeast and a western part of the United States, where there's a lot of agriculture as well, there have been increasing heat waves that are really affecting the ability of plants to grow and crops to grow. And so there's these very real and visceral effects of climate change. And so I think that also adds to a push and a pressure for changing our US agricultural policies to be more responsive to the growing risks that agriculture faces.
Thank you very much, Funke.
Thank you.
So, Sean, I will also challenge you with your essay. You were telling us about GeoAI. Can you provide us examples of GeoAI applications in disease surveillance?
I see. Thanks for the question. In fact, GeoAI in disease is not that really applied yet. So I could have given an example on that, but another example I would rather give is in terms of my own research in malaria transmission or malaria dynamics. We are looking at using geostatistical models to map out different layers of terms of elevation, terms of different distance between borders, to actually predict risk of malaria transmission in a country like Bhutan, where they have already reached an elimination goal. So that's where I thought GeoAI could be even more predictive, in the sense that if we could actually harness that power of GeoAI, we can actually bring even more than analyzing data, but also predicting what future events would be and how we can actually preemptively allocate resources at the correct places and make sure that those that are going to be affected will well be able to receive them in times of climate change. Yeah.
And what are the key challenges in integrating GeoAI into healthcare systems?
I think the key thing is, do we have high quality data? I was just asking one of the Director General of Operations with the Doctors Without Borders. And his answer was, I know data more than him, but actually the answer that I was looking out for was, is are epidemiologists actively being able to collect data that are enough, that are in high quality, that are clear, that are able to allow us to be able to do all the analysis. The problem we have now is a lot of data are not labeled. They are geostatistic GPS data that we don't know where is the outbreak. We are just doing unsupervised learning, which is not very helpful for actually predicting things. And so, and another challenge that we could have would be if countries doesn't even want us to collect the data. And that's where politics comes in sometimes. And how we actually then use other technologies and and even use traditional clinical ways, not even GeoAI, to actually do it. So that's something that are challenges that is facing this field and this area. And we probably could explore more on how this could be very much implemented. But I believe the important thing is to engage the relative stakeholders and to ensure that they trust technology is able to help them in solving this problem in the urgency of climate change.
Thank you very much, Sean. So you're both living in Singapore. Maybe you can sit together. You have the technology, you have the ideas for Geo AI. Who knows what we will see in a few years here at the symposium in St. Gallen. Now, thank you very much to all of you for presenting your ideas, for letting us into your thoughts. Very, very interesting essays which you have written, and thank you for having the energy to answering the questions, to be here in St. Gallen. It's not easy to present in front of the audience your ideas, so thank you very much, and once more a big applause to the finalists. So, before coming to the ranking and me leaving the stage, I will just give you an information that after this session there will be a break. You have time for networking, to think about the ideas of the essays, and then the next program will start at 4:30. And now we will come to the ranking, but it's not me who will do this. We have two people of the jury here. It's Heike Bruch. She is the president of the academic jury. She is professor of leadership here at the University of St. Gallen. And we have Georg van Krok. He, in his role here today as president of the award jury, he is professor of strategic management and innovation at the ATH in Zurich. And so welcome then, and all the best for you. Thank you very much.
So we will now announce the winners and the ranking. So I have these three envelopes, and I'm excited myself. So I was told I have to open it on stage. That's what I'm doing. And now read the third winner, Andreas Kuster, for his essay, Beyond the Noise. Gratulation. Toll. Super. Super. So, now comes the second winner, and that is Sean Chan, Mapping the Future of Global Health.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great job, Now, no surprises left, Funke, So, but let's see the name, whether we find it in the envelope, It is actually Funke Adoronmont. We see each other. Yeah. Okay.